Hello syntax lover. In your exam, if you are asked what is static variable, what is instance variable, or even if you are asked to write a program that makes use of multiple objects, then the syntax lovers, you are watching the right video, because in this video I will illustrate the whole detail about the static and the non-static variables. And over here is the program which you can simply copy and paste it in BlueJ. It will work fantastic. And also right over here I have given the comparison between these two terms. So let's first start with this picture. If you remember, in my last program where I talked about the single instance which I created, okay, if you're having a difficulty in recalling, then click the I button right over here and you will be taken to the program class and object in Java. And in that program I showed you how to create an instance, but in this program you will be seeing three different instances. So this is my first instance S1, second instance S2, and third instance S3. So let's check it out in the diagram format. So this is S1, S2, and S3. If you are creating a instance variable, then they will be restricted within the given object. Like for example over here, see, I have created one instance variable. So this instance variable is present in all the instances, and that's what the picture portrayed. So the variable a is there inside S1, again a inside S2, again a in S3. So that means every instance which you are creating, or every object which you are creating, the variable belongs to that object, and that's the reason why it is called instance variable. So again I am saying, if you are creating an instance variable, this is an instance variable, then this instance variable belongs to every instance which you are creating in this following syntax. Okay, so it is local to the specific instance. The variable a is local. But if you are creating a static variable, then what happens? It is called a class variable, because you can see the variable b is a static variable that belongs to the entire class. So this b will be shared among all the instances. This variable b will be common for all the instances because it has got only one single copy of it, whereas a has been duplicated for every instances. So there are multiple copies of a associated to every instance, but in case of a static variable there is only one copy for the entire given class. As a result, S1 can also share B, S3 can also share B, but this variable A is restricted within S3, or this A is restricted within S1. So another object cannot access this variable. Other way around to say, an instance variable is related to a particular instance, so another instance cannot access the instance variable that belongs to some other instance. So it is non-shareable, whereas this one is shareable because it has got only one copy of it. So that means if I increment the value of b with the help of S1, like for example, let's assume S1 is incrementing the value of b with 1. Initially the b is 0, so S1 added 1, so it became 1. S2 again added 1, so it became 2. S3 again added 1, so it became 3. That means every instance is able to increment the value of b. Whereas in case of instance variable, if I increment the value of a by 1, that is restricted within S1. That will have no influence in S2. So S2 will have its own instance variable. So if I increment the value of a inside S2 by 1, it will become 1, then it will become 2. That 2 will not be reflected in S3. So these are local to the specific instances. So that's the reason we call this as instance variable and this call as a static variable or a class variable. Now let's see how this program is working. As I already said, this is the instance which we have created, and this instance is accessing the variable a, which is incrementing. So this is a shorthand notation. You mean what I mean to say is something like this: a equals to a plus 1, and then it is also incrementing the value of the static variable, which is initially 0, and then it becomes plus 1 incremented to 1, like what this picture was portraying. So initially b was 0, so it became to 1. Then again I created another instance, and this a is specific to s2. So whatever changes I have applied, that will not be reflected over here. So it will get a fresh copy of a, and it will start with 0. So 0 plus 1 will be 1, and that you can see right over here, this 1. And then again you are accessing the same class variable, because this b is common. So when s2 is incrementing the b, the previous value of b was 1, now it is getting to new value, that is 2. And again, if you see over here, I'm incrementing the same local, I mean to say the same instance variable a, and that's the reason it is associated right over here. So here the instance variable a got to a new value called 2, but this is still 1, because it is associated with this given instance, and that has got no connection with these instance. Okay, the same thing I'm doing over here also. Oh, meanwhile I have created a function. So this function will be displaying the individual values of the respective variables. One is the instance variable, and one is the static variable or the class variable. And in the case of third instance, again I'm creating a new copy of the instance variable. So that means whatever changes I have made right over here, that will not get reflected over here. It will come up with a new copy of a starting from 0, and as I incremented with 1, it will be having a value of 1. But this is a shared variable, so that means it is going to increment the value of b from 2 to 3. That will take place. And then again you are going to display the show function. You are going to call the show function, and eventually you will get the result. So let me compile the program, and as I do that, there is no syntactical error. Let me run the program now, and here is my program. Let me create an instance of main function, and let me click the OK button, and here is the output which you can see. This is what I was talking about. See, let me open the program over here also. Let me keep the output right over here also. See, initially this was 0, it got to 1, and then you incremented the value of your class variable to 1, and then you come up with another variable that is over here. See, this is where the s2 variable a got incremented from 0 to 1. Then you incremented the value of b, that was the last value of b was 1, that got incremented to 2, and again you're incrementing the local variable a, I mean to say instance variable a, from 1 to 2. So the latest value of a would be 2, and that is what getting printed over here when you are calling the show data function. So in the show data, the 2 will come over here, and the b will have also value 2 because of this line, so that 2 got printed. Okay, let me show you the output, and that's the reason you see 2 over here. But by the time when the third instance come in picture, you are getting a fresh copy of a, and it starts with again a new initialization, that is 1, and it is using the same shared variable. So the last value, it was 2, now it becomes 3, and you are giving a call to the show function that brings you right over here, and you are seeing another new value of 1 inside a, whereas the b has got a new value called 3. So this is how the shared variable or a class variable is common for all the instances which you are creating, whereas an instance variable is local to the respective instances. Okay, so whatever I have said, this whole thing I have written over here. So let me just read out the points. So the static variable can also be called as a class variable, because it is associated to the entire class as the picture portrayed. This is common to the whole class, and this is specific to a given instance. See, this is specific to s1, s2, and s3. Now, a static variable are created with the program and destroyed with the program. Obviously, it's a common variable, so the life of this variable will be associated to the whole program. But this is not so in instance variable, because it is restricted within the object. As long as the object survive, the variable will be there, and the moment you are going out of the object, the variable will be of no use. Similarly, a static variable are created. Okay, this point is got clear. Okay, one more point I missed out over here. That is, a static variable can be accessed by calling the class name. You must have noticed this line over here. When I'm accessing the static variable, I am calling it to the help of a class name. My class name is static var. I am not calling it with the help of an instance. This is a very crucial point. So in case of an instance variable, you have to call it with the instance name, because you saw already that the variable a is associated with this instance, this a is associated with this instance, and so forth. So that's the reason you have to call it with the instance name. But in case of a class variable, you simply call it with the class name. That's the reason this point is very relevant. So over here the point stated that only. And now you also saw that in case of a static variable there will be only one copy, but in case of instance variable multiple copies are getting created associated to the specific instances. And finally, over here you can see that there will be multiple copy of instances as we create a new object for the given for a given class. So that means as you are creating individual object, you are replicating the instance variable. But in case of your static variable, there will be only one copy of it, and in case of an instance variable, there will be multiple copy of it. In case of static variable, every changes the instance is making, that is getting reflected. So when s1 is incrementing the value of b, that is getting reflected to all the instances. But whatever changes s1 is making for its own instance, that is restricted within itself, that is not getting highlighted in s2. That what I have mentioned over here also. Okay, so I believe this explanation, this video helped you to understand the relationship between static and instance variable. Well, if you found this video to be interesting, then don't forget to click the like button and share this video among your friends, because you can help them as well. Okay, that's what I am trying to make with the help of these videos. Okay, thank you so much. See you in next video.